Rachael Ray Double R doing some double M's. Woo! Food that you can make so quick it will free you up for more free time in your life. Look at that crispy skin. Delish. Ooh, that smells amazing. Boom! Nailed it! Hey guys, Double R here, Rachael Ray, in my home kitchen. And this dinner is very special to me because I made it for my mom for her 87th birthday. Everybody loved it, so I thought I'd share it with you guys. It is pork cutlets with Huckleberry sauce. So it's a fruity, savory sauce that we're gonna make with red wine, a little vinegar and sugar. And while that's cooking down, we're making potato salad with broccolini and fresh cherry tomatoes. The meal is actually quite simple to make. It's just a lot of ingredients, but it's really festive and beautiful. So always start with your potatoes. They take the longest, right? They have to come up to a boil. And when we're talking potatoes, 1/2 pound per person is what I portion. Vegetables, 1/4 pound per person is what I try and portion. So we always start potatoes like shape, like size, cold water, right? So everything has the same cook time, like shapes and sizes, and starting in cold water. You can't get the water hot and as you're chopping potatoes, just start dropping them randomly into the pot. Doesn't work. Why? Because they will all have different cook times. Once we bring this up to a boil, that's when we salt it. If you want to facilitate that and get it up to a boil quicker, you put a lid on it. Honey, will you grab the lid for this pot? Red one about this size, about 12 inch. Be careful though, all of the starch in the potato will immediately start to come out of the potatoes once you bring that up to a boil. So this can literally overflow all over the stove and make a giant mess. We're going to take everything we bring home from the store, we put away clean and ready to use. So this is 2 bunches of broccolini. And all I do when I bring them home from the store is give them a quick soak. I fill the sink with water, clean all my produce at one time, put it away clean. And I just trim the very ends of it. So now we're gonna take a slightly bigger knife. This might take a long time. We're gonna take a little bigger knife. And we're gonna cut the stems on a bias into bite-sized pieces. Include all of your florets and greens. And I'm gonna put them right back into the Ziploc baggie I had the whole product in. So that we can just, boop, pop it in with the potatoes the last 3-4 minutes that they're gonna cook. Those potatoes are so tiny, they won't take more than 10-12 minutes once they come to a full rolling boil. So we'll add the broccolini about halfway through. Then we're gonna toss the warm potato salad with our dressing and the raw tomatoes. Obviously, we're not gonna throw halved cherry tomatoes into boiling water. Where is my food mover? Here it is. My bench scrape I call the food mover because that's what I do with it. I move food. So now this is ready to go. Gonna leave it down there. Now we're on to the tomatoes. 1 pint of cherry tomatoes. The cherry tomato trick I've shown you guys a ton. 2 deli lids have the tomatoes. Dump the tomatoes over here and keep going. The dressing we're gonna make for this, all the ingredients are back there. We're gonna use a little Italian hot sauce. We're gonna use Italian tomato vinegar, which I got from Milk Street online. It's a new product for me. I've never seen tomato vinegar. I love it, kind of obsessed with it. But you could use any red wine vinegar or a young balsamic would be fine in it too. Anyway, we've got vinegar, good olive oil, little hot sauce, shallots, garlic, little basil, parsley. We're gonna whiz that all together. And that's what's gonna go on this salad. So now our salad world is complete. This is why you have to have a system in a kitchen, especially if you have a small, like, I know it looks like I have this huge countertop because I only put butcher block everywhere, so I can work anywhere. But really, when you look at the space that I'm standing in, this is where I make everything. This little 2.5 feet, okay? That's why mise en place and that system is so important. Having all things in place and keeping things grouped together so you can just continue forward with your cooking process once you begin it. The next thing we're gonna do is get the sauce going. So we take about 2 cups of your frozen berry of choice. Then we add about 1/3 of a cup of wine, red wine, about 1/3 of a cup of sugar, and about 1/3 of a cup of vinegar. I'm using wine vinegar. And then we just let this cook, and the natural pectin in the fruit will start to thicken this and turn it into a lovely little sauce. We'll see you right back here in a couple. So we have the sauce going, we have the potato salad going. Next thing we have to get going is the pork itself. So for the pork, flour, egg, breadcrumb is your traditional breading setup. Your SOP, your standard operating procedure for breading stuff, right? There are exceptions to every rule, but this is your general, I'm making a cutlet of some kind, right? So to the flour, we're going to add a little sprinkle of allspice, about 1/4 teaspoon, to about a cup and a half of flour I got there. And we're gonna add a fat sprinkle of ginger and ground thyme. So about 1 teaspoon of each of those. We layer our flavors when we cook. You season everything, right? All the way down the line. So we're gonna take a little salt to our egg. And when we're whisking eggs, we poke our yolk. And it makes that happen a little quicker. I rarely use just fine breadcrumb. I always combine homemade breadcrumb, I make them occasionally because I always have bread ends in the freezer, or panko with fine breadcrumb. So I put in half and half, just dump them in a dish. Whoops. And then I'm gonna add nutmeg, and a little shower of it, probably 1/4 teaspoon to a half. A little shower of fresh grated nutmeg. And I like a little lemon zest. I do pay a premium for citrus because I always use the zest of it. So I pay more, so I always know I'm buying organic because I eat the outside of that piece of fruit. Little lemon zest. And then, now you can just add dry parsley to this. It doesn't matter. You're gonna put it in hot oil. But I always have so much fresh herb on hand. Where I can, I use up my fresh herbs for the week. So I'm gonna use a little fresh thyme for color and texture in our breadcrumb. Again, you could just put a sprinkle of parsley in here and only go with the thyme and the flour. The dish will taste relatively the same. I always have fresh thyme. It grows literally like a weed in my backyard. Literally, it's like ground cover, it's everywhere. So I'm always looking for, a way to use it up. Now, when we're chopping herbs, pile them together. And then when you get to the end, you start with your hand that's not holding the knife curled over like a cat paw. Then when you get to the end of that, tip of the knife on the board, just kind of rocking down the board. Then we go back the other way and you just start milling it. Everything will get smaller, I promise you. Gather with the back of your knife. If you're going to gather with your knife at all, you can, of course, just use your food mover, your bench scrape. Mix that all together. So now we have our flour, our egg, and our breadcrumb. The pork itself. So for the pork, you have 2 options. Did you get those pork chops for me, babe? Can you pass them to me? You can use boneless pork loin chops, meaning it comes from a really tender part of the animal, and all you have to do is literally pound it out a little bit, and you can have individual, really large cutlets. I also wanted to show you this option, because a lot of people love pork tenderloin. I took beautiful pork tenderloin, 2 come in 1 package, already trimmed, ready to go. All I did was pat them dry and cut them on a bias, on an angle. And I whacked each one for 2 seconds with a mallet. So it's your choice. If you want larger cutlets, take the pork loin chop. Bing, bang, boom, done. If you want more in about the same amount of time, all you have to do is hack the tenderloin on an angle. There you go. So your choice. Salt and pepper. I like white pepper with this dish, so I'm gonna do white pepper, but you can also use fine ground black, of course. A little bit on this fella. Now we're going to get the oil hot and we'll grab a food processor because we have to make the dressing. We'll be right back. So the water is up to a boil. Salt the water liberally. Potatoes love salt. Potatoes and beans love salt. It's almost impossible to over-salt them when you're cooking them, actually. I'm going to turn down our sauce because I don't want it to boil over either, and it's really boiling. You can keep it at a medium boil. You can keep it at a good rip. I mean, you want that to reduce quite a bit in a short amount of time. But you don't want to like, berry juice, no bueno on the Stovo. It's like really hard to clean. Anyway, over here, because my stove is like Dante's Inferno, I have got this on low. You should have yours on medium to medium high. We're gonna get the pork in the pan, but you also need a transfer platter because you're gonna cook this in stages. Or if you wanna make it a little bit ahead, have a rack over a foil-lined baking sheet to keep it in a warm oven. I'm actually gonna do both because I have such a tiny space to work in. I wanna bread a bunch, get them over to the pan, and then transfer them and keep them warm. So I'm kind of doing all those things. Let's make the dressing next for the salad. We're gonna take a shallot, some garlic, all these goodies down here. I could borrow this tray for a moment. There's no other room to put anything. We're gonna take a small shallot. I'm gonna try and find 1 inch of space to coarsely cut it in my tiny little alley here. There we go. We're gonna take a good fat clove of garlic or 2 little ones, throw it in there. And then we're gonna put a little wine vinegar, or I'm using tomato vinegar. Good 3 fat tablespoons. I'm gonna add a good 1/3 of a cup of olive oil. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Each turn is roughly a good tablespoon. A little hot sauce. This is an Italian hot sauce that's not too hot. I'm obsessed with it. Fiorelli, it's from Parma, Italy, but you can get it at the regular grocery store. It's awesome. You can also just add a little teaspoon of red pepper flake if you like, a little hot sauce. And then we're gonna take a little basil. Handful of basil tops. A little salt. Pop her on. And pulse it up. Honey, will you take that out of there for me, the base, so I have a little more room? Thanks. Thank you, sweetheart. And then we'll bread the cutlets and get them into the doodad. Ooh, that's looking good. So we know the drill, right? Flour, shake, egg, shake, breadcrumb, kind of pack her in, and there you go. And you just do a little assembly line. Don't overcrowd your pan. So, I don't know, I think I have about a dozen of these medallions. You would only have 4 large cutlets if you were doing the whole loin chop. You will probably yield 12 of these kind of medallion shapes if you're using the tenderloin. Just heads up. I think that's about even. I like this mix of the fine breadcrumb with the panko because it gives you more texture to the breading. So, this hand was coating that, so we're gonna keep this hand kind of that guy. Now I can turn it up a little bit, but I was really scared because this stove, it gets so hot. We know when oil is ready generally when it begins to ripple like this. When it ripples and just begins to give off a tiny bit of smoke. Also, I showed you guys before, but Sarah Moulton taught me years ago, if you put a wooden spoon in, when the bubbles come out of it, then she's ready to go. That's a great little fun tip. All right, see you in a couple, guys. Okay, guys, I think the first batch can come out. And drain. Looking good. Next batch in. Broccoli in with the taters. Give it a spin. So that's like moments away. Let's check on the sauce. Getting there. I think we can crank him up even a touch more. All right. John, hand me the strainer, please. You put it in this sink, babe. Okay, guys, these babies are done. Now, look, people, I think, don't cook a lot of pork at home. They're worried about cooking it to the right temperature. When I was a kid, I used to cook it to 180 degrees, which is insane, and it would taste like shoe leather. But these are cutlets, just like if you're making chicken cutlets. If you pound something out, Paillard style, that's what that is. When you pound something thin like this, it literally will tell you when it's done. All you're doing is crisping it, and it cooks in a couple minutes on each side. That's it. Universal. Whether you're making pork, beef, chicken, veal, cutlets are cutlets. They're gonna be perfect. And you don't have to be afraid of pink pork. That's the way you're supposed to eat it, actually. Little bit pink, like a little blush. So we're gonna pile up our cutlets. That's what's so great about cutlets for quick cooking meals. They are inherently a quick cook dish. Okay, potato broccoli salad. Let's get this guy drained and back into the hot pot. Why would we put the potatoes back in the hot pot? To get all the excess liquid off of them, so you don't dilute your dressing. So we drain them here. Give it a little shake. Don't shake it like, ugh. You don't want to start breaking them up. You want to try and protect the integrity. Then we're gonna add all of our tomatoes. Bring it on downtown. Let's get a trivet so we don't scar the counter. We'll trivet here for a sec. And we'll take our dressing and a spoonula. Add all of our dressing. Okay. And give this a gentle stir. Again, you're trying to keep the integrity of these items so that they're really vibrant And the broccolini should be tender crisp, and the tomatoes just warm, and the potatoes still with a nice bite to them. Beautiful. Woo! Is that gorgeous? Then we're going to take some of our huckleberries or blueberries. And put the extra carefully on the side. Okay. I may have, yep, a couple little flowers left in the drawer. I buy edible flowers a lot. They're just so pretty. They make me happy. Okay, so there is my mom, Elsa. There is her birthday dinner made for you guys. I hope you enjoy.